It's time! Hello, welcome in! The early crew came in strong today. How are you guys doing? Cooperative Waffles, thank you so much for tuning in from YouTube. That is a great freaking question you just asked. We'll get to that in a minute. Lummox Beast, welcome in. Savage, welcome in. Stronghold, Tim, it's great to see you. To our RA, thanks so much for coming in and hanging out again. Great to see you. Savage, thank you again for that sub. Holy shit. 21 months. It's crazy. Thank you so much. Magister Warjomo, good to see you. It seems hard to find fiction online in any form. Oh no, if only there were someone who could maybe read some Airdian fiction online. If only such a thing could come to pass. Maybe in some sort of weekly internet segment. Dougie rejoining the early crew after a while. Good to see you, my friend. Imp, welcome in. Great to see you. Sweeper AZ, hello. DM Chris, welcome in. And Willie the Rat, welcome in. God damn. Early crew. Early fam. Jeez. Just waiting for... And Chuck, welcome in. Good to see you. How are you? Just waiting for instruction from my boss as to what I'm doing tonight. Yeah, I'm your boss's lawyer. Your boss said that you need to hang out on Twitch and listen to Aihrde fiction set in Aihrde. Yeah, heard it straight from the top. You gotta hang out. Sorry, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I am a lawyer. And them's the facts. All facts, no printer. Ailtrin, welcome in. Good to see you. How are you? Grace is my online source of Aihrde fiction. I think about Aihrde for fun. And that's honest to God, the truth. I daydream about Aihrde in my in my free time, and it's awesome. I fucking love Aihrde. It's such a great setting. It's such a good setting. Also, let me know if my mic's too loud, or if the music's too quiet, or if the music's too loud, my mic's too quiet, or any other version thereof. In the early club, we all fam. It's all fam in the early club. I don't stop until 10 p.m. Eastern. Jeez, what do you do? Oh, yeah. Nice. What do you do? What do you do for work? If you're at liberty to say. Charles Miller, welcome in. How are ya? And Chuck Terrell, hello. How was y'all's week? We have an update that's not great. And I'm sure you all have heard by now. Ernie Gygax Jr. has passed away. Terrible loss. And just there's not more to say about it other than just tremendously sad. Obviously we're pushing back Castle Zagging. It does not seem like the right time to be generating a lot of excitement in a community that has just loved Ernie Jr. and the Gygax family so much. So that will be March 11th. The good news is that we definitely hit our 4,000 follower goal on BackerKit. So hey, we all get the outs in, and we get it early, so that'll be cool. So how was y'all's week? It was crazy week for everybody in the gaming community, I think. But tell me about yours. From downstate, hello from upstate, Moose. How's it going? It's good to see you. And Brad, welcome in. I should really pick up Castles and Crusades. I have the new Amazing Adventures. 1,000,000,006. You should. If for no other reason, then you can treat it as a high fantasy Amazing Adventures expansion. Both game systems are completely compatible. They use the exact same rule set. They just have different classes and different rules for different themes and stuff, but they complement each other perfectly, and it's basically PB&J of TTRPGs. So yeah, definitely try Castles and Crusades. We have a new starter bundle set, box set, coming pretty soon-ish. I think this month, don't quote me on it. There could be a million different delays that happen just based on if the box maker is working according to schedule and just all this shit. So Dougal, thanks for tuning in from YouTube. How's it going? Good evening, Grace. I ran my second session of CNC with my friends, and they were all nearly killed by wolves. It was awesome. You haven't lived until you've been nearly killed by wolves in a game of CNC, and that's the goddamn truth. That's the tea, as the kids say. Hey, welcome in. That's awesome. Did your players love the session? There's nothing like running a game of Castles and Crusades for the first time. The first time I ran a game, it was for Steve's birthday, and I ran him and Chuck and Jeremy. Hey, Chuck, Skype right quick. Ooh. Cool. I have no input on the situation. If you're watching. One second, I'm just gonna respond to this. Don't even worry about it. Okay. Anyway. Frickin' Steve. Here's the thing. In the troll dens, we go every which way. And ain't that just the way? What was I talking about? Oh yeah, freaking the first time I ever ran a game of CNC, Steve is here and Chuck is here. They were in that game. That was one of the most terrifying experiences of my life. I have not. Do you know how, like, you don't realize how you feel about something until you, like, say it out loud? Oh my god, I was a first-time castle keeper for the founder of the company that produces it, the community director who's been running the game for longer than I've been alive, and a peer my own age who is, like, equally knowledgeable about everything related to the game, has gone through writing and editing content for all of the core books multiple times, and here I am stepping up to the bat. It was so scary. I'm very much somebody who likes rules, and I did not learn how to improvise until very late in life. Or I don't know how long I'm gonna live, so I don't know if this is late in life relatively, but until recently, improvising a story was not a skill that I had. I did not play tabletop RPGs growing up. I just loved them from afar. I didn't really have a close-knit group of friends that was, like, interested in that kind of thing. And so to come across a game where the rule system is totally imaginative and modular, and every single game is going to look different, and you can just toss the rules that you don't like and keep the ones that you do like. I had never been faced with that much freedom before. And after the initial, like, nerves wore off, and, like, getting to the point where you can just say stuff and that's your ruling and it's true, and you don't have to refer to a page number necessarily. You can just improvise, and you're empowered to do that by the actual, like, rule book. I never want to run 5e again. I never want to play another tabletop RPG. Like, it just rocks. It's addictive. I swear to God. All you need is one good game to convert you to a CNC player for life. I'm obsessed with CNC now. We switched from 5e and nobody ever died. Yeah, man, it's fun to be afraid. We talked about this last time, but, like, at a certain point in 5e, it gets pretty tough to, like, really put characters in mortal danger. And you're in so much mortal danger all the time in CNC. So much, all the time. Everything is just as deadly as everything else, it feels like. And maybe some of the more skilled players disagree. I have never claimed to be a particularly skilled or game-breaking player. But hey, I will go on the record and say that CNC is the game that can't be broken. It's fun to feel like every move could be your last, and, like, you have to play it smart. It's really fun. You kicked ass, and I'm very proud of your budding skills. Your games on here are great. Chuck, thank you. I really appreciate that. You're the OG, so thank you. We have to get your actual play, like, back on Twitch. We've got to get you running a game on Twitch again. Was that the gladiator fight online? It was. Yes, yes, yes. I was running this other game last Wednesday. It became so easy for my players that I could unleash all the big monsters now. It seems silly. They just keep succeeding. If it were CNC, everything would be dangerous. Yeah, exactly. Balancing an encounter is kind of like its own unique skill, I think. Kind of like how there's no like big blanket skill of like writing. No one is good at the skill of writing. Everyone is good at like professional like grant writing or poetry or like script writing or writing emails. Like there's a million different little like micro skills within that skill, and I feel like running games is kind of the same way. Someone who exceeds in like balancing encounters might not be like the best world builder and vice versa. So I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of pressure on game masters to like do it all, you know? And I know you all know this, but I guess I've never heard it said out loud. But hey, like as a game master, you don't have to be like awesome at everything. Take it from me. I've been being not awesome at things my whole life. I haven't run my own campaign for 20 years and I'm enjoying the power, the pure absolute power. What you say goes, man. If you can get drunk on the power of being a GM, then everyone will have more fun. Daughter says, Happy Girls' Day, Japanese holiday. Happy Girls' Day to your daughter. That's awesome. I didn't know there was a Japanese holiday called Girls' Day. That rocks. Tell me more. Can you teach me about Girls' Day? This is a totally new thing that I've not heard of before, and it's never too late to celebrate. I want to celebrate being a girl. That's why people are afraid of America so much freedom. There's nothing like riding in an ambulance and being completely financially ruined. Now I'm craving some waffles. Oh my god, why'd you have to say that to me? I'm so behind, y'all. I'm sorry. This happens every stream. Tomorrow is National GM's Day. Oh my god. Is anyone doing something special for that? I'm running a game. I'm gonna game master tomorrow. We have Blood and Briar, which the finale was supposed to be last week. The story wasn't finished by the end of that session, so we are going to finish it tomorrow. So I guess I'll be celebrating by running a game, and hey, you could celebrate by coming and hanging out with me, but you should run a game. Everyone here should run a game for March 4th, International GM's Day. CNC is like Australia, everything can kill you. I had such a cushy upbringing, I'm realizing. I had a very, very cushy childhood because like in the wildlands of Michigan, you're not going to encounter like microscopic bugs that dig underneath your skin and lay eggs and then eat their way out. We don't have that in Michigan. We don't have like crazy snakes and spiders the size of your head. We don't have like death bees that are among the most like painful in the world. We don't have any like crazy wilderness. We have like bugs that are icky, but not like the South and not like Australia. Mr. Crow, thanks for tuning in from X. Ran my first session of CNC last Friday. Players seemed to enjoy it. They were menaced by boars and later bandits. I love, this is a side note, I love the use of the word menace as a verb. That's awesome. That sounds super fun. Boars and bandits? Come on, that's the B&B to CNC. Get you some boars and some bandits. How did the encounter with the boars go? Can you tell me about it? The Only Water Jay, welcome in. Thanks for tuning in from YouTube. The Undying War is hella fun. I love the way it was written because I can easily add all kinds of stuff with the NPCs, but the framework is there to keep everything moving. I've really been enjoying it. That is awesome feedback. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I really want to run the Undying War. And I haven't, it just like timing, it hasn't really worked out, but the Undying War seems super fun. I've flipped through the adventure. I know the story of everything leading up to the Undying War. I vaguely know the story of the Undying War, like from the GM side. Like, I've had it spoiled for me, basically. But really what I love most about the Undying War, no spoilers, is the antagonist of the story, the primary antagonist. I think that he's so funny. And there is art that exists of him, but I imagine him looking very, very, very different from the art. We're talking, of course, about Coburg the Undying, who was kind of like a lieutenant to Unklar. A little tidbit of like Aihrde history. Coburg the Undying is basically this, like, he was a squire for a very great hero, and his master, who was a knight, organized a force to storm Aufstrag and attempt to kill Unklar, and they almost succeeded, except for Coburg. Fucking Coburg the squire. He was like so intimidated by Unklar's power that he stabbed his master in the back, as his master was menacing Unklar and about to like kill him. So Unklar rewarded Coburg with a little bit of power, and Coburg did pretty well with that, and so he gave him a little bit more power and a little bit more until he was basically the gate master of Aufstrag. He handled like anything that went in or out of Aufstrag went through Coburg. And he's kind of just like a weaselly guy. Or this is how I imagine him. He's just a weaselly little shitty little guy. And like not terribly attractive, not terribly like charismatic or confident. Maybe a little bit like more bolstered and like self-assured after like receiving all this power, but like kind of just like a shitty little like incel-y kind of guy. You know what I mean? For health and happiness of girls and women, every March 3rd, eat sushi. Oh my god, I want sushi so bad. Sushi's my favorite food. I am gonna eat sushi. I'm gonna find a place to get some sushi after the stream. You know what? I need some waffles. You do. I also need some. I'm gonna have sushi and waffles. I wonder... Hear me out. I'm cooking. In here, not literally. Okay. Somehow, you cook your rice. Maybe you put it into the waffle maker, but you get like a crispy waffle-shaped patty of rice, and then you put like sushi stuff on it. Sushi waffles. Would that not be awesome? We have sushi burritos, and they fucking rule. Is sushi waffles kind of fire? Would anyone eat a sushi waffle if I started a food truck? Will that be the last stream or another mini campaign? We've got to negotiate that, actually. We got to see if like everyone's available, and if we want to continue it, if our audience is interested, if you guys want to see more of like me and the Charisma Cats like going through an adventure. What I will say is like if we do a second little mini campaign, I want to tailor it more to the players, which is not any kind of statement about like what kind of players they are. They're amazing and hilarious, and I love their play style so much, and they're so much fun to play with. They make every game so much fun. But the adventure that I'm running for them now is one that I kind of just had sort of finished, because when I was volunteered to run the game, I wasn't prepared. I didn't really have anything, and I'm bad at coming up with stuff on the fly. I mentioned earlier that's just not a skill that I have, and so this was kind of the adventure that I had laying around, and this adventure is written as a horror adventure. I have not been running it that way, but it's written to be like a horror adventure, and I don't know. I would like to do something more like lighthearted and fun, you know, as opposed to like the horror-y kind of like sort of thing. Because I don't know, I'm not a mean enough game master anyway to run a horror game. I think I gotta still level up there. I can write it, but I can't run it. Michigan has death by ice every year and humidity for the summer. Oh, it's humidity for the winter too. That's the thing about Michigan winters, why they're so brutal. It's the humid winters. I swear to God, it's like the wet cold. It just sinks into your bones. Hey, New Age, welcome in. Good to see you. Do not eat gas station sushi. Oh my God. You couldn't pay me. I'll be running my first CNC game sometime in April. I'm running a homebrew world. I'm even making some of my own monsters for it, like moth people, crowfolk, and desert hags. That sounds so much fun. I'll say, like, I have not used anything from Monsters and Treasure, even though the monsters in there are great. I love creating my own, like, monsters for CNC. Can you tell me about the crowfolk? I want to know more. That sounds really cool. And I swear to God, we'll read. We are going to read. And in fact, I have a story tonight that is of relevance to my game, which I'm running tomorrow, the finale of, which, by the way, if you want to come say hi and give the actual for real this time send off to this little mini campaign and my first foray into like CKing a little mini campaign, I'd love to see you there. Just saying. You're not a mean GM. I saw you body swap them and then fight a demigod. They didn't fight a demigod, technically. It wasn't technically a demigod. Technically. It was a little bit of a demigod. It's fine, though. It's fine. They could handle it. They survived. They lived. My players learned the lesson that just because you detect a character as evil in a town, that doesn't mean you are allowed to commit attempted murder. It's a harsh lesson. Yeah. That's that's really funny. I feel like we've all had that game where it's just like that, the reckless, like, he's evil, I take my sword and I attack him. The actual first ever game that I ever ran for anybody, I was super lucky to like have this experience. I did a writing retreat in Greece, and that was such a cool time. I have a million stories from that trip, but among them, it was the first time that I ever ran 5e for anybody. My only experience prior to that in regards to like tabletop RPGs was I had joined a game with some random people on Roll20, and the GM was creepy to me and I left, and that was the extent of it. But I timidly offered to like run a game once I learned that some of the other people at the writing retreat were like into that, but none of them wanted to run anything, but they all wanted to play. So I was like, well, maybe I can. And it was totally one of those sessions where everybody was like attacking like whoever and like going and doing whatever they wanted. And I don't know, I feel like that was really important. Like for me as a game master, and just like setting up expectations for like games and stuff in the future, because I totally did have that like shitty toxic mindset of like, okay, I know what the story is. I wrote a little adventure. I know what the story of the adventure is, and they're going to do the adventure. And it's not what happened at all. They went and did something totally different. And like that was, it took me a minute, I think, to appreciate that. At first I felt like I just ran a shitty game. I was like 22 around this time, 21 or 22. I was 22 or 23. No, I was 22. Just like younger and shy, and hadn't put myself out there like that before, and it didn't go the way I expected. And so it took a minute to like realize that just because it didn't go the way I expected, that didn't mean that it went in like a bad direction. It went exactly the way that it was supposed to, because the game is about telling a collaborative story, not me telling them a story and then revealing the answers to them as they go through the adventure and telling them the story. They're telling the story. I'm just like setting up little stuff for them to like have fun with, basically. I forgot why I got on that tangent. Oh, detecting a character as evil in a town that doesn't mean They like attacked the mayor in full view of like a bunch of guards, and it led to this like crazy chase scene where they were like running around the mayor's house and like through hallways and through doors and all sorts of crazy, jumping over tables, getting grabbed. It was a lot of fun. The ringleader was a paladin too, so that could probably do something fun with that. Nice. Hello again, Grace. Here's the scaly crow folk. Since you asked, yes. If you copy and pasted something, I don't think it actually appeared. It might have gotten like auto modded for some reason. If you didn't enter anything about the crow folk yet and you're typing, then disregard everything I'm saying. But I've had it happen to me where I've like tried to copy and paste something into chat and then Twitch is like, nope, never mind. I heard your nickname was TPK. Yeah, the Pussy King. So that's stream. I'm gonna go. Saying things live on the internet. My boss was in here a minute ago. You know what? I stand by that. Whatever. You could recreate all the campaigns from middle school and high school by dropping the PCs in an arena and dropping monsters on them until they all die. That would be fun. Just like a straight up, like, see how long you can survive. Who can outlast all the others? I would, no lie, play in an adventure like that. Create adventures like Lego to allow decoupling and rebuilding the event path to match your character's decision tree. That's a great way to think about it. Like Legos. Yeah, that totally makes sense. I'm a visual thinker, so having like metaphors and stuff, that's super helpful. I love that. Want to try that again, sport? No. We're doing it live. You can hold me accountable for everything I've ever said on the internet, and none of it's weird. I've never said a weird thing online. And you can take that to the bank and cash it for no money. How about we read about Aihrde? Shit! Anyway, for the record, I didn't just break that. It's been loose. I got this tomato lamp. Oh no, it actually broke! It's fine. So I got this tomato lamp for Christmas, and it takes like a special type of light bulb. And I couldn't find the light bulb anywhere, but I finally found it, ironically, at like a hardware store down the road. I'm just gonna like move that back away from my elbows. But yeah, new lamp, who dis? And this has been like loose ever since I received it. It was broken right away. And I tried to like Gorilla Glue it back on there, and that didn't work. I might try it again. If anyone knows how to glue like a plasticky kind of stem back onto a tomato lamp. Shit. Hit me with the tips. Anyway, let's read about Aihrde. So today, because Blood and Briar kind of takes place in the Darkenfold and in the Dogwood, and the background of this story is the overarching myth, the Airdian myth, that Orndul killed Mordias. And using her blood as she lay there dying, she cursed him. And he eventually used that blood from that curse and turned it instead into something that would help him. The Cloak of Red, which is referenced in Blood and Briar, and essentially, like, there's this new order called the Red Cloak Order, and they believe that if they can fashion the Cloak of Red back all together and like do a ritual and stuff, they can bring Mordias back to life. So their whole mission is to resurrect the goddess of nature. So I wanted to read that story because I love it. I love this story. When I first met Steve and Davis and Chuck and all those guys, I forget what year it was. A lot of those, the early 2020s have been like a blur, I'm sure for obvious reasons. But when I first met them, they hired me on to write this adventure that I'm now running for, the Charisma Cats. And I had never like read an adventure module. I had never like played Castles and Crusades before. I didn't have like really a group of friends at that time to like explore the game. It just like it wasn't meant to be at that time. But over time, I still wrote the adventure, just very, very, very gradually. They brought me on to do other different like work for them, this stream being one of them, and then eventually like hired me on full time, and that was pretty cool. And my whole life is different now because of that, and because of this adventure that I didn't write when they hired me to write it. So I wanted to read the story behind it because I love this story. I think it's so cool. Ready for GaryCon? Dude, I'm so ready for GaryCon. Are we going to see you there? Who's going to GaryCon, by the way? Blood and Briar sounds like the hollers of Kentucky. Here's the thing. Blood and Briar, that's what I call a Tuesday night down in Tennessee. Yes, good. Good, good, good. You can fix the lamp with an adhesive called Amazing Goop. I'm writing that down. I'm writing that down immediately because I tried to glue it back on like 3 times and it didn't work. Amazing Goop. Amazing. Blood curse. They are the best for plots. We love a good blood curse. What can we say? Really, what can we say? We all love a good blood curse. Avoiding GM burnout, delegate to the players as much as you can. The good ones will jump at the opportunity feeling fulfilled. What a brilliant GM we have. Yeah, that has consistently been my mistake. Because, like, I overwrite and over-prepare for things, and then the obvious happens. Like, they do something that I didn't prepare for. And then I feel like I have nothing, and then I'm panicking because I have nothing. And then I'm not, like, improvising along with them. I'm just kind of, like, trying to stay afloat and like figure out what's happening, and that's not how you gotta play. It's just like getting yourself into a different mindset and accepting that it's fine to figure stuff out together. It's not a performance. You don't have to like perform for your friends. But yeah, it's just like it's crazy. Why would they sell jeans with holes in them? Whoa, we got an ad. Sorry. There we go. I had to cancel my GaryCon. No! Life got in the way even after planning for half a year. Dude, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry to hear that. That sucks. We'll raise a drink in your honor. I'm so sorry to hear it. Paladin, welcome in. How are you? You did a great job in Blood and Briar with delegating, though. Grace with a lot of the check. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Really, at the end of the day, if everyone's having fun, then that's a job well done. That's all you need. That's really all you need. But hey, I've led up to it twice. How about we read about Aihrde? We are, I swear, going to read tonight. I promise. So this is the story of the Cloak of Red. A little bit of backstory if you're not super familiar with like the literature on Aihrde. The literature. The lore, the Airdian lore. Orndul is also called the Red God, and back in the beginning of times, the Allfather was creating all sorts of things. He created this world. He created some stuff to kind of like live there. Not dissimilar from Red Riding Hood. You're onto something there. There are themes, but the Allfather created a bunch of things, and 3 of the most significant were these 3 deities. who are kind of accounted among the greatest of the Val Ericune, which is what they call like the major gods in Aihrde. And it was Orndul, Mordias, and this guy Corthane. Corthane is the god of judgment, not super relevant to this tale. His thing is that he doesn't intervene. He's saving his power to fight Orndul in the prophesized end of times. So he's training, basically, and he's away. But we have Mordias and we have Orndul. And all three of them have the same flaw. They have other flaws, but they share a flaw. And the flaw that they share is that they all three believe that they understand the inner workings and machinations and thoughts of the Allfather, their creator. None of them do. Mordias is the closest, but none of them really understand. If I am remembering this correctly, man, I forget what Corthane does, but the Allfather looks at him and he kind of just holds his gaze for a moment, and then he turns away and goes to like do his other tasks and get back to like creating things. He was not a very attentive father. And Corthane believes from that moment of like eye contact, I think, if I'm remembering that part right, I remember the Corthane stuff a little bit less, that he understands the will of the Allfather. And so he goes thinking that he's right. Orndul stands before the Allfather, and he's so angry at the Allfather's like just passivity. He doesn't talk to his creations. He doesn't appear to care about them at all. Does not like acknowledge them as real almost. So Orndul takes a weapon and he strikes the Allfather on the heel and he wounds him. And this is the first time that the Allfather has ever been wounded by anything. And the Allfather kind of like looks at his heel and looks at Orndul, and in that moment Orndul thinks that he understands the Allfather. He looks in the Allfather's eyes and he thinks that he sees what the Allfather's thinking. And so he goes off thinking that he's right and that he's the only one who understands. Mordias kneels before the Allfather, and she sees his wound. The Allfather does not appear to notice this wound, but she sees it. And she sits and begins to heal his wound using her magic. And the Allfather notices kind of what she's doing. Like, hey, there's an ant on my heel doing stuff. And he looks at her, and she looks into his eyes, thinks that she understands him a little bit more than the other two through this, and she leaves, thinking that she's right. So all three of them have this kind of like self-assuredness. Mordias, of the three of them, kind of had more humility about it than the other two, but these three kind of considered themselves like the ones who get it, basically, as opposed to all of the other peons who don't have anything special with the Allfather, never made eye contact with him or anything. And I think that that's all the backstory that we need. Orndul hates everybody. He's kind of evil. If you couldn't tell by the whole like wounding the Allfather thing, he's basically the god of like, yes, passion, but also like evil and torture, and he created effectively hell and all this stuff. So very much a villain. With all that said, he's the Allfather, not the good father. Honestly, that's it. That's the thesis. That is the heart of it. The Allfather was this really like indifferent guy who didn't really care about much of anything besides just creating stuff. And then when he was done creating stuff, he laid down to sleep and just kind of hung out. And that was that until he was killed. The sub-aspects of the Allfather consider themselves complete personalities/deities. They are mistaken. Reminds one of Gnostic thought, cosmogony, yes? What is Gnostic thought? I don't know if I know that enough to confirm. The god of overfuckery. That's Orndul. He overfucks it. A lot of just excessive jackassery, you know? Like, really? You're telling me that you're gonna bend the void to your will, create a massive 3-headed dragon, hoard the souls of the damned. Because you, have daddy issues? Get real. Walk into traffic. More teeth, more monsters. In that order. Plot twist, all of Aihrde is in the Allfather's dream. Ooh. There is a plot twist. Aihrde is Venus. That's the plot twist. I was bamboozled when I learned that. That shit is crazy. Crazy to me. Listen, I looked into his eyes. I know him. We have a connection, man. It's special. I think Steve might have told me that Mordias really did get it. He might have said that to me. I don't remember. I don't know. What does that say? It's an interesting question. Like, one yelled at him, one hurt him in an attempt to like get a reaction, and the other one just like didn't see the Allfather, didn't see like the source of her own power, didn't see like something that she needed approval in. She just saw like someone who was wounded. And yeah, it wasn't bothering him. But she was in that moment a woman who saw someone who was injured and knew that she could do something. And I don't know. To me, that's someone who gets it. But let's find out. Let's read The Cloak of Red. I swear, we're going to read tonight. We have 20 minutes left. We're going to read. Sit back, relax, get yourself a cozy beverage, or settle into whatever kind of task you would like to do while we read the story. It's not a long one, but we're going to spend the next 20 minutes probably just reading. And then if we have questions afterward or just world building stuff that we want to chat about, I'm not the creator of Aihrde, that's Steve, but I have read through the Codex of Aihrde multiple times, so I might know some answers to some questions. Oh my god, I just went through all my water, but hey, you guys redeem that for me. All of you take a sip. I had a little bit. Okay. Trolls The Cloak of Red. The red god fled the halls into the deep north, where his sister Mordias dwelt in peace amongst the men of those parts. There he found her and watched her, stalking her from afar. She had taken little part in the wars of the gods, and then only to hunt Orndul's minions that hounded her groves and the men under her care. As the red god followed her, she became aware of his presence, for little moved in or on the earth that she could not see. She beckoned him to her as a brother long lost, and fed him in her halls. Orndul lingered for a while, and listened to the world of her making. Green and deep it ran, even into the earth. All things around her grew and flourished, and the primeval world echoed in her every thought and deed. The men who served her did so out of love and respect. They hunted for her and brought her food. When they fought, they asked her forgiveness for the blood they'd shed. They worshipped her and listened to her every word. This galled Orndul, and a wrath filled his mind, in which he left her in her abode. Fear stole upon the red god. Perhaps an echo of Narhite, the god of chaos, lingered in his mind. Perhaps he saw some piece of the arc of time he had not seen before. Who can say? He saw Mordias growing stronger. Though she had given the greater part of herself to the great tree. This is one of her creations. It's what it says. Great tree. Imagine a big tree. That's her kingdom. That's like her palace, I guess. Weakening herself, she was regaining her might. He saw then that the men who paid her homage gave of themselves, passing the breath of life of the Allfather into her and making her stronger. And the world, too, as it flourished, so she flourished. And he saw in her what he deemed a great deception, for she grew in strength with the world around her, where all others diminished. Orndul became envious of his sister's enlightened beauty and her power. It drove him rapturously mad. He plotted to slay her before she, too, might hound him like his brother. In those days, Mordias kept her hall in a grove of birch upon a broad hill. These trees lifted to the heavens and dug deep in the ground and grew close together like a wall. Her board she kept in the middle of a great hall of these trees, and it was always laden with food. Her servants adored her feast hall with a likeness of her carved in wood. Here men made sacrifices of wild meats, grains, and fermented drinks. Each night, Mordias presided over it all and feasted with the lords of tribes of men. Men called this the Hall of Harkling, which means plentiful in their speech. Upon a dark eve, when the moon lay in the arms of Aelor, and the sun passed beneath the wall of worlds, Orndul visited Mordias in Harkling. She greeted him and moved to make him welcome, but he leapt at her and cut her down, laying her low with the ember sword. She fell to the floor, stricken, her life's blood running into the earth and drowning the roots of the hall. She looked up, catching her brother's eye, and saw the madness of evil in it, and she made to stop, her life's force ebbing from her. Men all about the hall rose against the Red God and made to slay him, but none in the hall had such power, and so he cut them down. Then he saw Mordias upon the ground before him, laying in the ruin of her hall. Dropping to his knees, he called to her, "Sister, all this was foretold upon the Ark of Time. What is now must have been." She looked upon him, and with a clear voice said, "With envy and treachery you have come to my halls and slain me upon my step. There is no crime greater, and for it none shall suffer you evermore, my brother." This shamed and outraged Orndul, and from that day hence, he became evil incarnate, the enemy of all that was good. Slipping beyond speech, Mordias used her ebbing strength to lift a shroud of her blood, and this enveloped him in a thick mist. He rose, choking upon the ruin of her. It lifted him on high, filling his nostrils and throat with the foul taste of death. The mist choked out of the air, making to kill him, but in the end, he mastered it. Harvesting the mist, he wove it into a cloak that he wore ever after. He turned, cloaked in her blood, so that he might pass beneath the halls for all to see, man, beast, or god. And all men spoke afterwards that they saw Orndul leave the Harkling Hall in a cloak of red. And ever after he wore that cloak, and it bore both the sorcery of Mordias and his own hate within it, and it proved to be the greatest of his armaments. The red cloak blinded Corthane to the world, so that the gods saw nothing from the fortress of Aiul, his home, except a haze. His mind, blinded, turned away from the world. Until, and this is like a future story, this is like a later story, until Frafnog the dragon wrestled with the red god, shredding the cloak and scattering it across the wide world. But men of the north, overpowered with grief by Mordias' death, knew not what to do. Some staggered hopelessly through the wilderness, caught within the clutches of a terrible fear. Others, however, were not unmade so easily, and they found hope in the blood-stained ground of the grove where Mordias fell. When spring came, a small host of brightly colored silver trees, mostly birch and oak, came to life, growing in the ground where her blood had been spilt. They grew larger than any other tree of Aihrde, excepting only those earliest of Oregon. These are the race of sentient trees that first walked Aihrde. For these trees bore the wealth of Mordias within them. It is from this line of trees that the Murrin trees sprung. These trees are healing trees and holy trees to men. To hear the march lords of the Eldwood speak, the great Dree of the Druids is one of the last Murrin trees in existence. This is not so, for the tree in the Eldwood is a descendant of the great tree in the east, which has given no seed in many centuries. Reading from the Undertooth, I am. Yes. I'm on page 201 of the Codex of Aihrde after Winterdark, if you want to follow along. We're reading about Mordias and her death in the Cloak of Red. These men hated Orndul and swore vengeance upon him. Those who were lost in the wilderness turned to worship the other of the Valeracun. Great and small, evil and good, they found gods in these creatures and called upon them. So it was in this fashion that evil came to the world, born by Orndul's jealousy, his hatred for the dwarves, his lust for power over men, and all from the chaos Narhite caused. In honor of his fallen sister, Corthane swore an oath to forever maintain a balance of power among the gods. He became the justice maker. He renewed his great contest with Orndul in these years. The stain of the Red God and the death of Mordias retreated in time. The Evorgan from the days before days still wandered wild, and the dragons made great nests across the world. For 300 centuries, Aihrde thrived beneath the light of the sun, as the men and dwarves lived out their lives, as they were wont to do. So that's our little story. So we just finished talking about the Winterdark, the full history of the Winterdark, and that was a much harsher time. These are happier times in Aihrde. It's weird to go from reading about the Winterdark to reading about a time like this, which is absolutely not a good time, especially if you were one of the men of the Eldwood. This is probably among the worst of times for you, but for the rest of the world, like, it was mostly peacetime. This period in Aihrde after the death of Mordias was followed by a period of peace. Oh, we have ads. Gonna skip them. I mean, in the Aihrde mythos, the accidental sub-aspects of the Allfather are like unto mirror shards of him, acting from an incomplete worldview, so their motivations are flawed and good gaming fodder. Exactly. Okay, I'm up to speed. Yes, that's exactly right. Not all of them claim to, like, understand the Allfather, but they are all, like, pieces of him. Man, this would be a good question for Steve if he were here. He might join for another Q&A sometime, but I would be interested to know if the Allfather and the Valeracun, who were, like, descended from him, are, like, inspired in any way by his own personality. Because I could see a writer and a game master doing that, like, thinking of them, a more vague, you know, fictionalized version of themselves as, like, the god of whatever your little, like, fantasy world is. and then having sub aspects that more literally embody like parts of your personality. I don't think there's any part of Steve that's Orndul, but that's an interesting question. They all acknowledge the Allfather. Yes. Yeah. It's a cool relationship, and the Allfather is a cool figure. He is like an all-powerful god who just does not care about doing anything except like putting his head down and creating stuff that he likes, and isn't gonna like stop halfway, isn't gonna be happy with something that's almost right but not quite perfect. He needs to create stuff that he's happy with, and that's a little bit like Steve. Steve is a little bit like that. I don't know. There's probably a little of me in a lot of that. Hell yeah. Confirmation. Sick. I don't know. Like, I don't know. How many times have we all heard from Steve, like, just leave me in my cave to write. I just want to write. I just want to go in a deep hole with a typewriter and just write stuff. It's kind of like the Allfather. All he wants to do is just make stuff. And that's. But then again, that's very relatable. Do you all have any like questions about Aihrde? Don't feel like you need to have questions or anything, but I do want to open the floor just in case there are any questions about this story or other stuff. I never made that. It's, oh my god, it's like I'm looking in the Allfather's eyes and understanding. I know what's right. I know that this whole thing is a metaphor. I'm the only one who gets it. Maybe I should take over the world about it. All men are one bad day from unthinkable acts. Each must ensure it needs to be a really, really, really bad day. Isn't that from the Joker? I never saw the Joker, but didn't he have a line like that? Everyone's just one bad day away from like being me. Like, did he say something like that? Did he just fix his ankle? What god would I be? Ooh, we got different music. Hang on. I want to make sure it's... Hang on. I've got just like... Oh, ads. I've got just commercial, like, royalty-free music playing. That's kind of nice. We'll do that. Dark Knight. Ooh, okay. I could have sworn that was in the Joker, but then again, I've never seen the Joker, so I guess I don't know. The Dark Knight, that's a great comic. Fucking, not The Killing Joke. There was a different, like, Batman iconic, like, comic issue. It was not The Killing Joke. I did like The Killing Joke. At one point, I was, like, I felt like I really was, like, pretty in tune with, like, superhero comics. And now I've just forgotten a lot of that knowledge because I, like, read it and then I put it away and didn't think about it again. Except for Flashpoint. Flashpoint rules. That is a great comic. If anyone wants to read some comics, you should read Flashpoint. The Last Laugh! That's it. Yep. Yeah. The Joker said it, but it was in the movie Dark Knight. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, we could all just be like one day away from being Orndul. Man, so this is not a TLG product, but there is a game called 10 Candles. If any of you have like TikTok accounts, maybe you've seen the description of that game floating around, but it's phenomenal. The mechanic of the game is D6s and 10 tea light candles that you can just get at any supermarket, and you're timed by like the candles burning down. It's crazy. It's so stressful. And part of like the character creation for that game is you only list 4 things, and one of those things God, I'm explaining this in such like a haphazard way. I'm sorry, but you go through and you write like your 4 traits on pieces of paper, and then you use them. Your traits are a resource that you expend throughout the story, and to use your trait to like bolster your chances in the game or whatever, you literally burn it. You hold it to a tea candle, and you have like a metal bowl on hand or something so that you don't start a fire, and you burn that thing and then it's gone. And the last item that you're supposed to burn, the last trait of your character that you're supposed to burn, is like after everything else has been burned away from you, after your virtues have been burned away, after what you think are your worst flaws have been burned away, after you've lost them, who are you? At the bottom of the well, when you can't go any deeper, what will you do to survive? And I think that is such a fucking awesome question. Because there are some people who at the bottom of the well, they're Orndul. And there are some people who at the bottom of the well, they're Mordias. I think that's true, at least. It's really cool. It's a super cool game. I would definitely recommend it. I know it's not a TLG product. Sorry, but it's really cool and we should make something like it. I want to design a game. That game made me want to write a game. And everyone that I've talked to about writing games has said, don't write a game. So, gonna write a game, you know. I would be Ilmater. Wait, who's that? Is that a god in Aihrde? I don't recognize that name. Ilmater? What Airdian god do you guys think you would be? If you had to guess. Those of you that are familiar with the pantheon of Aihrde. Who's good at seeing advice? Thanks. Yeah, everyone in the world is like, hey, don't do it. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that. I'm kind of busy doing the thing, and I couldn't quite hear you, so I'm gonna just keep on doing what I'm doing, and that's the wrap. That's it. I used to have a huge sand hourglass. Time was about a half hour. At a point in each game session towards the end, it turned warning of impending doom. Ooh. Oh, man. Wait, that's cool. Hear me out. I don't know how you used it, but I'm imagining... Okay, so if like a sand-filled hourglass is your like primary mechanic in the way that 10 candles are the primary mechanic of 10 candles, what if it's a situation... And maybe this is exactly what you did and I'm explaining the obvious, and if so, I'm so sorry. I'm just stupid. What if you have the timer like upright and it's draining and it's stuff, and that's all like your characters are not in mortal danger while the time is draining through the first time. But whenever you flip it, the game gets way more dangerous. Things that previously benefited the players now hinder them. The story takes a massive turn, and everyone's probably gonna die. I think that would be really cool. That sounds like a fun game. Very specific question. Is there any of the Aihrde books that develop Prince Eric Aristobulus Uriance defeating Unclar's navy? They are referenced in the timelines, but I haven't read anything. Holy shit. I don't know. David, that's a great question. Hey Steve, if you're in the chat, let us know. I don't know. I know that Aristobulus the Mage, if this is indeed the same Aristobulus, was a player at Steve's table. And a lot of the events of the Winter Dark and fighting Unklar was based on like actual stuff. Do I need to hop on for a quick Q&A? Do you want to? Would you like to? We would love that. If you want, don't feel pressured, and you can message me privately. No hard feelings if you're busy or if you don't want to. But hey, we would love that if you'd like. What is the best primer for Aihrde to give to people, just in the meantime? I would definitely say the Codex of Aihrde, the Darkenfold. We have like the Codex of Aihrde expansions. I can for about 15 to 20. Hell yeah, maybe that's as far as we'll go. Here, you guys all hang tight. I'm gonna get Steven here. We'll be right back in just a minute. Oh no! Hang on. Hey, there we are. How's it going? We are live on the internet. I just showed OBS real quick, but it's probably fine.
All right. At least it's not me shouting, "Are we live yet? Are we live?" Like I usually do, Scott.
Are we on the internet?
Yeah.
So I think the question was, is there any of the Aihrde books that develop Prince Aristobulus Euryance defeating Unklar's navy?
So there's not, nothing's published on that specifically. There's a little bit of that in the Codex of Aihrde, of course. I think in the timeline for, what is it, the Catalyst books. I think that's where that's brought up. But all of that stuff unfolded as the game was being played, as the game was ending. Once I joined the army and I moved off, and then once I got in post Fort Shafter and I started writing all this stuff, I wrote everything down by pen. I didn't have a word processor or anything, so it's all on paper.
Oh my God.
I write Mac and Todd and Charlie. I think Chris was in it then, but I write them these long letters that are 3 and 4 pages long, and then I would transcribe the letter and send, so I had a copy of it, and then I'd send them the letter. So I have all of these copies where all of that stuff is detailed.
Wait, so you wrote all of these letters twice?
Yes.
Wow.
and they would be like 4 to 6 pages long. So I would just
That's awesome.
yeah, and then write it out again. That way, I had a record of what I wrote.
Yeah.
Because Todd would never write back. Mac would always write back, and Charlie would occasionally write back.
Right.
When Mac would write back, I could know. Okay, I remember I said this. Da, da, da. But so I've got all that stuff in what I call the gray binder. At some point, I'll pull all that out and start fleshing all of that out.
I'm very interested in the gray binder.
There's a red binder and a gray binder. The red one's the older one, and it's fallen apart. But the gray binder is really where Aihrde began to take shape. That's where I really shifted out of Greyhawk,
Sure.
all my own, and then started pumping it full of stuff.
We have questioned whether or not Gary Gygax is the hermit. Are you the Allfather?
I am the all. I'd never really thought about that until you said that. When you said that a minute ago about the Allfather to me is so interesting because he's the way. I don't have any kind of religious conversation. That's for people,
Sure,
private, whatever. But
yeah,
when I think of a deity, this omnipotent. That's kind of what I think of. Someone who's having a good time.
yeah. Like they're not super invested because why would they be? They exist outside of everything that we friggin' care about.
I've said to wax a little bit poetic. I don't ever want to die. And the reason that I don't want to die is because I want to know how this story ends. And if you step out of, our timeline, I guess has become the thing to say these days. If you step out of it, this is a really cool story, the story of humanity. I mean, it is.
Yeah.
It is replete with, tragedy and heroism, romance, and sorrow, and everything a good story has. Our story has. And I like to think that, and this is certainly the way I envision the Allfather. He looks at all of the tragedy unfolding, and at no point does he get angry or vengeful. He's just like, well, interesting. That's
Yeah.
Look how that happened.
I imagine like looking at one of those like ecosystems that's in a bottle.
Yeah.
Like, whoa.
Yeah.
Mold wiped out that whole fucking thing. That's crazy. I wonder what'll grow next.
Who would have expected that?
Not me.
And I think one of my favorite scenes with the Allfather is, now I cannot remember the dwarf's name, but after he creates the dwarves, and that one dwarf steps forward, says, "You have given us life. How can we repay you?" And he just looks at the dwarf and he doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
He just turns around and starts working again, and the dwarf's like, "Oh, that's a sign from God. We must go out and work."
Yeah.
Well, that really wasn't a sign from the Allfather. He just didn't have anything to say.
Which is the best thing ever, because like I feel like all of Aihrde is just this statement that like things are what you make it. And because the dwarves believed that like this was what they could do, the greatest wonders on Aihrde exist because they made that like wrong.
Yeah.
Came to the wrong conclusion.
Well, it's funny because I don't really think when I create this stuff, and when I created it before, I didn't really think about any kind of huge metaphor or whatever.
Yeah.
But certainly, and you've worked with me long enough to know that I'm a huge proponent of working, just always being productive, doing something, and that certainly spills into the Aihrdean mythos.
Oh yeah, of course. Stuff like that, I think you can't keep out.
Yeah, it's difficult. Which of the Davis? Oh my God!
And which one is Chuck?
So Davis,
Narhite, I'm calling it.
He's not really trickster. I would have to go with the traveling god, the one that's dedicated to Gary. Of course not, because Davis in his heart and Davis's soul, and you don't really get this in the stream, but in Davis's soul, he just wants to wander. He just wants to hit the road and to go. And if you spend any amount of time with Davis and you can get through his never-ending pontificating about the big picture, because that's Davis only talks about the big picture, which is he and I talk all day, every day since we were 16. Other than when we were both in the Army and we couldn't. We had a huge conversation. We emailed, we texted so much in Skype today. I had to video him because it was getting too much. But Davis doesn't see and I don't want this to sound like he's like some kind of minimalist or he has a philosophy
Sure.
of any of that, because he doesn't. He just
Yeah.
doesn't see the use of things. That's why when he gets a book, he'll read it. It used to drive me crazy as a kid. He'll get a book and he just write all over the book. There'll be notes
Yeah.
all over the place. He doesn't care. He dog ears the pages. He does all. He doesn't
Yeah.
see value in the book other than the words that are on it.
Yeah.
Once you've consumed the words, the book's just it's kindling. It's
Yeah.
it's fire because you've consumed the words.
It's so funny. That's how I used to be, and then that was kind of trained out of me when I like in college, when suddenly like you're renting books and they're not yours and you can't really like be dog earing pages and stuff. And then I never did it again. And I regret it.
I think the funniest thing I've ever watched him do, we were out west somewhere, I don't know where we were, and his favorite car was his Ford Explorer, and he dropped his cigarette. He used to smoke Camels, and he dropped his cigarette down in that, the plastic piece that goes over your gear shift, right?
Yeah.
And that was his last cigarette, and we didn't have any money. And he looks down at it, and he just grabbed, and you have to say, this is his favorite car. He loved this. It's a Ford Explorer. He loved this vehicle.
Yeah.
He grabbed that console, and he was talking. He didn't stop talking. He grabbed the console, and he broke the plastic piece off and threw it in the back of the car, got his cigarette out, lit it, and kept talking.
Here's the thing, like Davis strikes me, and I kind of gathered this from like the conversation I had with him, which is now on YouTube. Like he is one of the greatest like appreciators of things that I've ever met. And like you put it perfectly. You wouldn't assume that about him, I don't think, because of precisely that, because he like rips up the pages and like
he doesn't put a value in it, and it confuses him a little bit. I shouldn't say confusion, but he doesn't quite grasp why you do put value in something. Sure. And that's why his computer shit's always broken. That's why his microphones are always broken. He just tosses it around or whatever.
Yeah. But is that not doing like loving it the most?
It is. I think so. I think that if he could somehow separate himself from the fact that we got to eat and all these things, he would be very happy. But and he is very happy.
Yeah.
So I'd have to go with the traveling god. As for Chuck, I don't know. I'll have to give that one some thought. There's some good. Chuck is dogged. Chuck is dogged. I mean, he is dogged in his work, but he's a little disorganized sometimes. So I think that it's somewhere around in there. I don't know.
I could see a little bit of Aylor, because like I feel like he gets so much like enjoyment out of like just first of all the game and playing. He loves games. I feel like
he does. Chuck does, without a doubt. Yeah.
Aylor loves games. He
does. Aylor loves to be happy.
Yeah.
And that's really probably of all of the gods I can empathize with the most, because I'm a pretty happy individual and I pretty much laugh.
Yeah.
I pretty much laugh. Even when it's tragic, I laugh. And I don't mean that mean way. It's just,
sometimes that's really all you can, like, if a thing is sad beyond heartbreak, beyond thinking, like all you can do is like laugh at the absurdity. I feel that.
I got this hilarious story. My dad and I were very, very close, and he on his deathbed, he kept holding his arm like this and pinching off the morphine. He was in a lot of pain. So I grabbed his hand and I pulled his arm down to open it up. And about a minute later, he wakes up out of his stupor and he goes, "Oh, so this is what we're doing now? We're holding hands." It was so awesome.
So this is what we're doing. We're holding hands. That's so funny.
I just fell over. It was absolutely hilarious. So the absurdity of life is quite amusing, and that definitely is. He loves the absurdity of life. Yeah. I have to think of Chuck. That might fit Chuck. Amanut kind of fits Chuck, because Amanut is
who's that?
So he's one of the August. He's the frog god. He's the one who's
the frog god. I love the frog god.
He's in C2, and Amanut
I don't know his name.
He is unflinching in his divinity, even when he has been reduced to nothing.
Yeah.
Amanut he sits upon his throne. I am a god, and Chuck is unflinching in his approach. Yeah, I love the frog god too. It's one of my favorite in Aihrde.
I have a thing with like frogs. I always have. I don't know why. Like, there was a year where just like every week I was finding frogs, like in the shower, in my shoes. Like,
So I may have a gift for you. For some reason,
is it a live frog?
no, but for some reason, back in the '80s, Kathy, my wife, bought a frog. We weren't married then. Bought this little decorative frog, and everyone just assumed that she loved frogs. So people have given her decorative frogs for years. She goes, I don't know why people keep giving me frogs. So we've got these two.
Oh my god!
We've got these two huge frog statues that she got a million years ago. And when she was moving her office, I took them, and they're sitting upstairs in the living room.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just getting rid of stuff over the weekend. She goes, "Can we get rid of these frogs?" And I said,
Perish the thought.
We've had this frogs way too long now to get rid of them. She goes, "Oh, whatever." She's so if you get a big box of two big frogs,
they'll be very loved.
Yes, there you go. I'll tell her they went to a good home.
Man, oh man. Agile, welcome in. Good to see you. Chuck is jolly. Davis demands durability. He takes big bites of life. That seems true. I don't claim to like know Davis super well, but that seems like a true statement.
One of these days, and everyone hanging out with Davis is a blast. I mean, it's an absolute blast.
I've loved every single, like, if I could just tell Davis in like a super heartfelt, like, dude, you are one of the smartest, most awesome people I've ever had the privilege of like sharing a conversation with. But like, that's weird to say to somebody, you know?
Yeah,
but yeah, it's super cool to talk to.
It's really fun.
Kai Hawkeye, welcome in. Well, hey, I think it's winding down. Unless y'all have like any more questions for Steve about Aihrde that we can answer. Otherwise, we might be able to let you go. I know you're busy with a bunch of stuff, a million things.
Recording that book.
Which book is it?
It's Guilds and Orders.
Guilds and Orders.
It's about 50-60% done, and Davis is going to try to take it over and wrap it up in the next, 60 days.
Nice.
That is the plan.
Very exciting. Is that a Kickstarter?
We're going to just put this up for pre-order, and a couple of, we've already got Guilds and Orders. You can get it on the site now, but it's very small. It's like 18 pages.
Yeah.
We're all in. There's going to be, I don't know, it's like 100 guilds in here, both trade guilds and character class guilds. So
yeah. Oh, that's fun.
Thank you, Dougal Doob. Thank you. I'm glad you're having a blast.
Last question. Is there a Coke fountain in there? There are multiple jacuzzis as of Blood and Briar being on the internet. A lot of jacuzzis in Greenbrier. Hope you don't mind.
That's all good. I watched about 30 minutes of that. I was just cracking up.
It's so much fun.
It really is. Yeah, there would be a Dr. Pepper fountain for sure.
Exactly.
Just to let everyone know, so that reminds me, I'm beginning the outlines of an amazing adventure, and I'm going to base it around the Fountain of Youth. So that's where we're going to begin.
Very interested in that.
It'll be very cool.
That sounds very cool.
Hopefully it's very cool.
Oh, it's going to be awesome. Come on. If it's not written awesome, then everybody who runs it is going to make it awesome.
There it is.
Ain't that just how it goes? I think maybe we can go ahead and call it here. Thanks for like hopping on.
Well, we need to do this more for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I love talking about Aihrde, and like, I don't know, every time you join, we always get like some awesome like niche questions answered, and that's what I hunger for.
The esoteric stuff. Yeah.
Oh yeah. But we're gonna go. Thank you all so much for listening and for watching. This was a super fun stream. We'll be back next week. And tomorrow, Steve will be live at 4:30 Central.
Yep, join us then.
And I will be live at 7 o'clock Central for the finale, for real this time, of Blood and Briar, our for real last session. This will be it. And we're going to do it. It'll be fun. So thank you all so much. Any final words?